ladies, gentlemen, and cheapos to the Tokyo Cheapo Podcast. I'm Chris Kirkland, the notorious cheapo.
Correct.
You got it this time.
And you are?
I'm Greg Lane, the, infamous cheapo. Yes.
So infamous.
We'll have to review beforehand.
And we have?
And I'm Taryn.
Our producer. Taryn.
Yes, the producer.
So yeah, we're back after a long hiatus. We have decided to reboot the podcast. So we're back again and we're going to be doing a series of interviews. So every couple of weeks we'll have a new guest on and we'll delve into their anecdotes and stories about their life in Tokyo. So today we have a very special guest, Jared Campion. Jared is a good friend of ours. He has, again, fingers in all kinds of pies, many different interesting business ideas, some in the past and some in the future, including his latest venture, DreamDrive, which we'll be digging into shortly. So before we get into Jared, let's start with a few of our Tokyo stories from the podcast team. So who wants to go first this week?
Chris, do you want to go first?
Sure. Always happy to
take the lead.
Hog the mic.
Gabble. Hog the mic, exactly. Okay, my Tokyo story, it's related to the one I did before. I had a slight stomach bug and I was talking about hospital experiences. Anyway, in the process of having this stomach bug, the doctor gave me this nice little printed sheet with kind of illustrated pictures of food and people sweating and things like that. But part of it was like what I was meant to eat, the sort of things which are easy to digest. And one of these was kayu, which is rice porridge, congee, or kayu. And I'd never really eaten it before, maybe once or twice. And basically I was eating it every day for about 2 weeks.
Only that?
Mostly kayu. I had maybe some rice
Per the
cakes.
doctor's orders? Only porridge?
Well, I actually quite liked it.
Oh.
So I really got excited.
You maybe exceeded the doctor's orders.
There were other things that I could have eaten on the list, but I was like, nope, I'm all about kayu this week. It opened this whole world of kayu, which I've never been down before. And of course, being the Tokyo Cheapo podcast, this is a huge cheapo tip because it's so cheap.
Really?
It's like 98 yen for a kind of bag of okayu, which you cook. I was probably eating 2 or 3 per meal.
Don't they feed that to babies?
They feed it to pensioners and babies.
Pensioners and babies.
So you kind of start and finish.
You don't need teeth.
Yeah.
Cool.
So do you want to go next?
So are you off the porridge diet now? Back to solid foods?
I'm still having it every now and then.
Really?
Yeah,
By choice?
It's nice.
Cool. Okay, so my story is from this past weekend. I feel like the story is going to be expected to anyone living in Tokyo, but anyone outside of Tokyo, it's going to be kind of shocking in a way. So the story is I was coming home pretty late and I was at a bar that was in Shibuya, but it was closest for my purposes to the local stop Shinsen. And I was like really booking it for last train. I had like 15 minutes to run to the station. And I get there and I'm about like 90 seconds before the last train. So I run into the bathroom and I run back out and then I just barely make the train. And when I'm on the train, I realize that I left my iPhone in the bathroom. And it's last train, so I can't go back and get it. So I take it to my local stop, Inokashira Koen, and I get there and my Suica card's also in my iPhone case, so I can't exit the train station.
How did you get in the train?
Well, I passed into the station using my Suica and then ran into the bathroom and then left my phone and then boarded the train. So I get to my station, I have to explain my predicament, obviously, to the station agent, and he calls Shinsen, but they're closed, obviously, because last train has already departed. And he's just like, all right, just check back in tomorrow and we'll see what we can do. And I leave and go home, and around like 11, I come back to my station. Shockingly, the guy is still there, even though I saw him at 2 a.m.
Wow.
And he's got this really, good morning cheer on. He's like, and he recognizes me immediately, not super surprising because the blonde gaijin that he saw 10 hours ago. But he immediately recognizes me. And in his perky way, he comes up and he's like, oh, I called Shinsen Station this morning and they've got your iPhone for you and it's there and you can pick it up whenever you want.
Amazing.
So I just went there a few hours later and it was in this nice little Ziploc and the station agent was waiting for me to come with my ID to collect it. And the thing is, at no point when I realized I had lost my phone did I worry that it was lost. Like, my feeling was just like, this is really annoying. I need to go back to Shinsen tomorrow. I have other shit to do, you know? But it's like, Japan is just so incredibly universally safe that it never occurred to me that I had lost it permanently. But if you were in almost any other city in the world, it would have been gone. You know, I left in this like janky train station bathroom. Like, it's an iPhone. It was brand new. Like, there's no way it would be there the next day.
Yeah, people just don't steal phones in Japan, do they? I mean, it's like usually the other person has a better phone than you anyway. So
yeah, but they just don't steal. Period. I mean, I love telling my friends stories about like going to a giant Starbucks and saving my table by putting my wallet on the table. Like, I've done that many times. Yeah, exactly. It's incredible.
It's a sign you've lived in Japan for a while when you just don't worry about losing your iPhone.
Yeah.
You expect it to come back to you.
Yeah.
I had a related story, quick digression, but a friend of mine from the US had a Japanese person visit. The Japanese person was cycling to a shop to buy some stuff and like left the bike. And the bike was the host's bike, my friend's bike. And he kind of parked it, went shopping and came back, and the bike had been stolen. It had gone. The Japanese person he couldn't believe it had been stolen. It didn't enter his mind that it had been stolen. He said, sorry, I can't remember where I put your bike.
Wow.
That was his explanation.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's certain things that are okay to steal in Japan, though, I think. Like, well, not okay, but, you know, you're more likely to get your bike stolen and your umbrella, right?
Maybe if it's a mamachari, I think it's a certain, you know, expensive bikes don't get stolen, I don't think. It's just mamachari. They're like umbrellas. It's considered sort of disposable thing that, you know.
As long as it's disposable, it's fair game. But anything of value, they wouldn't steal. It's pretty backwards and amazing.
Mr. Lane.
My story. It's not that amusing or anything.
That's a good way to start.
But we had a bit of a get together in Shibuya, so we kind of had the Tokyo Cheapo team. We decided to go to a kind of a craft beer bar in the middle of the Love Hotel district.
What was the name of that again?
Mikkeler. So there's a bit of free advertising for Mikkeler.
Yeah, that's true.
So we turned up there, and it turned out that NHK were filming in the bar, and they've kind of forgotten to mention this. So we couldn't go in there, but above the bar they actually had an Airbnb apartment, so they ended up sticking us in there. And the best thing about this Airbnb apartment, I mean, it was kind of a weird situation, but it had a beer tap on the wall. So it was basically just like endless beer. So I could imagine staying in that Airbnb place, and you could, you brush your teeth with a beer, you could,
Yeah, it had really minimal facilities, except it had a beer tap.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it had a stove.
No kitchen facilities.
Yeah,
just
no
a beer
kitchen
tap.
facilities. Like, you got the beer. It's everything you need.
Yeah.
But is that always operational if you're staying
beer
there?
tap?
Yeah.
It's a good question. I don't know.
Huh.
I hope. I like to imagine it is.
Me too. I like to live in a world where that beer tap is always operational.
That would be like one of Tokyo's best Airbnbs for a certain kind of craft beer niche, at least.
Bed and beer.
The beer for the week. It could be a kind of regular thing.
Yeah. You also forgot to mention the part where they tried to explain to us what NHK is.
Oh, right, yeah.
You're right, when some of us arrived.
Yeah, that's just a problem of being a foreigner in Japan.
Yeah.
Everyone tends to assume that you got off the plane yesterday.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, what is NHK?
NHK, Nippon Hoso Kyoku, kana? Is it like?
What is it though?
It's the BBC of Japan.
BBC.
I was sounding out the actual letters, but it's the national broadcaster, like PBS or BBC or something like that. One. Except probably it's quite powerful. It's quite influential, although also quite unpopular. Yeah.
Well, we could get deep into the economics and politics of public broadcasting, but let's move on to some Tokyo events. So, Greg, would you like to tell us about your event?
Sure. It's actually in the same place as the last event I talked about. It's in Kamedo. It's a procession of samurai. So it happens on May the 4th, I believe. It happens from about midday until 2 p.m. The route is kind of quite circuitous. So on the day, look out for some signage and you can work out where they're going to go through, because they go all around the neighborhood. It's a procession of samurai. Well, actually, people wearing samurai costumes would be more accurate. So it's all the old guys from the local businessmen's association and stuff. So they're about the least intimidating samurai you've ever seen. But the gear's all authentic. They have like kendo demonstrations where they do like sword fighting. So it's good fun.
Well,
Splendid. So my event to tell you all about is the Tokyo Yamathon. That's on the 11th of May, Saturday the 11th of May. It's a fundraising event, and basically the Yamathon is a sort of marathon where you follow the tracks, or you follow the route of the Yamanote line. So basically you do this big circuit of Tokyo. You don't particularly have to run, but it's quite a long way. It takes a full day to do. And it's a lot of fun. Not that I've actually done the Yamathon itself, but I've done a lot of urban walking in Tokyo.
yeah, me too. I love doing that.
It's a really good city to wander around.
Yeah.
Just, going through the different neighborhoods. You go from kind of big sort of dense urban skyscrapers to sort of small local shrines just kind of very quickly. It's really interesting seeing the changing scenes. So yeah, if you fancy urban walks and raising a bit of money for a good cause, then Saturday, 11th of May. So Taryn, what's the event you're going to tell us about?
So my event is a festival I haven't been to myself, but I hear about it every year because a friend of mine lives in Ome, and it's the Ome Grand Festival. It's the biggest event of Ome. So she's arrived in Japan the same tenure as myself, so she's been here almost 5 years. And Ome, for those of you who don't know, is like way out in the boonies. It's like super, super west Tokyo. It's like as far west as you can possibly go. So it's quite countryside out there, and it's also really small, the population there. So she, as a gaijin basically, and as a very friendly gaijin, is immensely popular in Ome. Like everyone knows who she is. And I think that's partly why she absolutely loves this festival. And it's just a celebration of like Ome and the little city, and it's just drinking all day long. And it's a very homey experience. Like people invite her into their homes to drink, and it's just like a very kind of familial event all day long. And she's so devoted to this town and to this event that she's planning on leaving Japan this summer, but she says that she legitimately expects to come back for this festival next year. So she'll be returning to Japan just in order to come to this festival. So that's how much she loves it. So yeah, I really recommend. I'm going to try to get out there this year. It's during Golden Week, like a lot of the events we've talked about. It's Thursday the 2nd of May and Friday the 3rd of May. So check it out if you can. It's a bit of a trek, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, it's great. The western edge of Tokyo. In fact, Ome isn't the edge. There's a whole kind of extra line going all the way to Okutama, which is all in the mountains.
Following the Tama River, the upper reaches of the Tama River, pretty much. It's and if you've seen the Tama River in central Tokyo, it's nothing like that. It's beautifully clear and swift water, and it's kind of like an emerald blue kind of color.
You can go swimming.
So, well, not this time of year, but pretty soon.
I might.
You so could.
I used to swim in the English Channel.
Oh yeah.
At least once every month of the year. So I would go in February at least once for a minute or something.
Why?
Just to say, for times like now, I can say I went to the English Channel in
That's
February.
True. Yeah.
No, I like.
You could have not done that and still lied to us now, though.
No, I like cold water. I have cold showers almost every day.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. Western Tokyo, like the sort of western third of Tokyo, is actually sort of mountains and countryside. Anyway, check it out with the Ome Grand Festival.
Yep.
So it's time to invite our guest, Jared, on board. So, welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and cheapos. It's my pleasure to introduce our guest today, Jared Campion.
Hello.
Hello, Jared. Jared is, I'm very well, thanks.
Okay, good.
Jared is most illustrious gentleman, the founder of DreamDrive, which we'll be asking you about in depth, as well as a veteran of Japan of, is it 10 years now?
12 years.
12 years, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So lots of stories, but start with the basics. Why did you come to Japan? What brought you here?
Well, I came to Japan for 6 months with I just got married in Australia, and I had a job I was supposed to go back to, and well, a career to go back to. But we travelled for 6 months, and I had a checklist of things to do in Japan, and we loved it, and we stayed. So I was working holiday visa, although I am technically British. I did it through an Australian passport.
So you're from the UK originally?
I'm half.
Oh, okay.
I'm hafu, as they say in Japan, you know.
But hafu UK and Australia?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
2 dual citizen,
Gotcha.
2 passports.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
What was on your checklist when you first came here? Do you remember?
Oh, well, yeah, a lot of experiences I wanted to do. Some I decided I didn't want to do when I found out a bit more about it. But certain jobs like I wanted to try and do for modeling. If you saw on the camera, I'm not a good-looking guy. I just know that you can get like, extra work or get into magazines. So I want to try and do that. I want to do the weddings as a priest. I thought I wanted.
You wanted to do that.
I knew it is things people did in Japan, like the fake priest.
That was like
Yeah.
on your bucket list.
It's
Fake
on my
priest
bucket
in Japan.
list. And then just obvious places to go. And I also had on the list like the host, and then I realised it was pretty sketchy. So I just took my help. I just saw it as a job people could do as foreigners. I thought let's just do it more in 6 months of them. I was like, oh no, that's a bit shady.
How much did you find out about being a host before you decided you didn't
Oh,
want to do
enough
it?
to realise it wasn't just like I thought it was some kind of, I didn't really understand what it was.
Right.
I thought it was like you talking to people hanging out, but yeah, and I realised lots of excessive drinking, and yeah, it's a bit creepy.
There's a really interesting Ask Me Anything on Reddit from like people who've worked as hosts.
Right.
And I think there's a Mormon guy. Did you know about that guy?
No.
He was a Mormon, and he went from being a Mormon, and he basically quit the Mormon church and converting people to
To be hosts.
Well, no, he didn't convert people to becoming a host, but
Okay.
he became a host, and like he basically was going for the extremes. So he became a terminal like heavy drinker, and
Wow.
it went to the extremes.
I'll look out for a host wearing a name badge and a tie.
So from priest to host, or from host to priest?
I did not become a host, so let's take that bit out. But I just had a checklist of things, and that was on the checklist, and it was removed from a checklist. But I did do. I became a wedding priest. I did do the modeling. I was in a commercial with Tommy Lee Jones for Boss Coffee.
Oh wow!
Cool.
I was not, when they aired it, wasn't in it, but I was in the room with him. So that's a massive tick. And I did some other various things in the first few months. We actually were supposed to live in Mito city in northern Japan. We thought it was Mita. So it's this classic mistake we made at the airport, because we knew we wanted to be in Tokyo. Like we didn't want to go. I wanted it to like 6 months in Tokyo.
Right.
Like experience big city, and it wasn't quite clear with when we spoke. We did the interview and we had the job. They told us, it's close to you can go to Tokyo Saturday, Sunday, easy every weekend. But they weren't quite honest about that. You can go to Tokyo on a Shinkansen,
right.
But on the wages we were getting, there's no way we could. So there's some confusion. So we quit our job at the airport.
At the airport?
Well, when we realised where we had to go, it wasn't
right.
Mita as Mito. And then we moved into Tokyo, got like Sakura Hostel in Asakusa. And then just figured it out. Got a job at Gaba.
Nice.
Classic.
turned
Which gave me
up.
flexibility at the time.
Yeah.
And then went from there.
I like that.
So
It's a very common path, isn't it? Like the coming and doing eikaiwa and then doing something else.
you got to do your time.
Yeah.
Exactly. Foundation. It's good and it's fun at first. I think it's actually a interesting job.
Yeah.
But for me personally, it's not very fulfilling. Because my children, the children I was teaching, all of my students just were not learning English. So,
Really?
they were, but it was very robotic.
Yeah.
They would know phrases. They would know quips. But if I moved from the path, like they could not speak, like they would not understand what's going on.
Yeah, if you deviated from the formula, they would get lost.
And I wasn't speaking. I'm a salesperson, so I would entertain them. We'd have fun, but we would not. They would not necessarily learn. But they were. I think they were happy. They kept coming. I have good retention rate in students. But my wife is an excellent English teacher, and her students, she would not change her voice or simplify it. She speaks very naturally. And at one point, we were teaching classrooms next door to each other, and that's when I just realized like how bad a teacher I was. Well, I think that's fine, but like her students could speak English. If somebody came in and spoke to her kids, and they'd say like, "Hey, how are you guys?" They'd be like, "Yeah, fine. How are you?" But my kids would have to have their formulas like, "How are you today?" I'm
Yeah.
fine, thank you. And you? Like these kind of formulas. So, yeah.
It's really interesting, yeah.
Did you manage to teach any of them how to speak with a kind of a hybrid English-Australian accent?
I tried. I did not. Probably, if you hear these people around Japan speaking of hybrid British Australian accents, I apologize. I did teach at an international school for a while as an English teacher.
Cool.
A lot of these students are now are getting into the workforce, and sometimes I'm running across them every now and again, which is kind of interesting.
The signature Jared accent.
Signature Jared accent.
Wow, so many different random projects.
A lot of
interests.
random, yes.
As I said, a man with fingers in many pies.
So many pies.
But I want to ask about the priest pie.
Yeah, me
Okay.
too.
Can you tell
priest
us
pie.
the priest, fake priest, real priest?
So it's ironic because I do go to church every weekend.
Really?
Yeah, I still do.
Are you ordained priest, or is that like some sort of?
I did. So
Jared's
I'm
a
super,
Christian.
Yeah, I'm involved. I do. I do the whole. I believe in the whole thing. And I was helping out with church. I was at some point. It's a very young church, like loud music, and I'll explain it. But yeah, I was preaching at one point too for a new church in Yokohama.
wow.
So I was a
Oh.
real fake priest.
Wow.
But as soon as, when I walked in, everybody thought definitely a fake priest. But I was probably, but like I think most of the people in that world are fake priests. Like, but there's a smoking room at the back. And then it's a pretty kind of, it's an interest. They're great people.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's nothing to do
Yeah,
with
I mean,
church
to
and their
actually get
beliefs.
that priest job, I'm presuming you don't have any priest qualifications. You can just look
some
like a
people
priest.
do. I think it's ex priests. Like when you talk to the guys who do it, it's pretty interesting. Some of the people are just fake,
Right.
and it depends. If you're in Tokyo, I think it's harder to do fake.
Right.
But if you're out in the sticks, they just want somebody who looks apart.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories like? You know, obviously
yeah.
the married couple they're going to have like requests and things they want to do, and
So,
you know,
sorry,
ways they want to
that's
be.
the primary duty is you're marrying people,
You're marrying
not so much
people.
that you're preaching
Oh,
at services.
there's a sermon. You have a set format. It's very it's very McDonald's in and out. Like they'll have the next couple's lining up. It's 30 minutes.
oh wow! So you don't even move; you're just standing in one spot.
No,
and they
you
just
walk
kinda-
out the back in the back
Okay.
room. Enough time for like one smoke, and then you're back on stage. Basically, I don't smoke myself, but that's the format. And yeah, so we would you smash. You can do like 6 to 8 or more weddings in a day.
Wow.
And it's quite going from GABA. It was quite good because you're normally getting $100-200 per wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So if you line them up in a day, like it's
Wow,
pretty
it's
busy.
serious cash.
It's not bad. I was a bit young. I think I was 24 at the time. So it wasn't the right look. So I wasn't the most requested, but I did have a few sites I'd go to.
They wanted an elderly priest.
Yeah, they
for the
want,
image.
like now I'd get more, with a beard, I'd probably get more work.
Wow.
But yeah, anyway.
Try it out again.
I should try it out again. But it's very. You also have like a script. You also have like parts where you have to raise your hands to the spotlight, like this, and then the spotlight shines down. Then you do your special prayer. It's a bit theatrical.
Yeah.
So you just for anyone who's listening to the audio, you were doing a kind of a crucifixion.
Yeah. Well, that's what they
Basically what the
want.
pose is.
And I think my like and sometimes nice old ladies will come and hand you like an envelope of cash at the end.
Awesome.
Okay, one time that happened. But I think my favorite story from that would be we had to get the robes which they provided, and you had to provide is BYO cross. So
Wait, how big a cross?
well, that's the thing. I thought, okay, easy, buy a small cross. But no, a big cross, like a I don't know, like a
Proper
10,
bling.
like a 9 centimeter and 10 centimeter
Yeah.
cross. And those you can't just buy; they're not cheap. We're talking like $100 for a fake
Wow.
big cross. So yeah, I went to Harajuku and they had bling like crosses at the time, and I found this like really thick chain with like lots of diamonds, and it was ridiculous, like large. It's the right size cross.
You're like a gangster priest.
It was, yeah, well, yes, and I took it in. I just turned it around so you couldn't see the diamonds to get them to go, yeah, it's good. So like sweet. And then when I remember later on I was doing weddings for a while, and somebody is with inspection day when one of the guys would sit in from the company and inspect the wedding. And just before he came by and he wanted to see me do what I do and everything, he saw the cross and he's like, he turned it around and I go, wow, this is much better. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like, where did you
diamond
find this
side.
one? So he made me spin it around so it's full bling,
Wow.
like
Diamonds.
diamonds.
Bling
Yeah.
Amazing.
priest.
You know what I'm saying? I had to bite it at one point in the sermon. But exactly. But that's a fun. That's actually it's kind of fun. I still can remember some of the Japanese.
You have to memorize this kind of long script, right? I had a friend who did this, and you can't mess it up, right?
You can't mess up the names.
He was saying that you need to be able to memorize it with that flawlessly. You can't make a mistake in the script at all.
Do you have a hard fingers? You couldn't make a mistake. You couldn't make mistakes, but you could not let them know you did not speak Japanese.
Oh,
which was they had to think illusion. You were fluent, which is really hard for me, especially at that time. So I had a character of a very quiet guy who loved reading the Bible. So I'd always have the Bible open and they'd ask me a question and I'd just be like, so I'm just reading. Just like nod the head vigorously towards the Bible. Awesome. And I'm like, well, this guy's legit. So yeah, it's
good
pretty
deflection.
Yeah. Nice. So anyway, it's fun. So
cool.
Amazing.
How long did you do that for?
I don't know. I think I did for about probably not that long, honestly. Probably only 6 months to a year. I did hunt. I collected all the names. I had the names on little slips of paper, and I kept them, and it's pretty thick. It must be 50 to 100 couples.
Wow, that you married.
Yeah, at least I'd say. So yeah, that was fun.
Wow. Well, from marriages to driving and dreams. Let's ask you about DreamDrive.
Sure.
So DreamDrive is basically renting camper vans to people.
Yes, it is. And what gives us a bit of a twist is the way we design the vans. We take vans and we redo the interiors, so it feels more like a home. Mm-hmm. Like I feel camping cars are great, very practical ways to drive around and sleep, but it's not so homely. It feels like a utilitarian. So I mean, a lot of the idea is just another camping car company, but we've got I think our vans are a lot more homely. I think people will love them a lot more, and I feel a lot more Instagrammable.
And this is mainly for people visiting from overseas.
I'm targeting,
right?
At first I'm targeting people visiting Japan as a first target. Mm-hmm. I feel Japan should be on a map as the premier spot of traveling by the motorhome. And a big part of that is also the onsen. Mm-hmm. I think usually the whole van life movement, people living in vans, which is growing immensely, motorhome, RVs, younger people are buying and renting these things than ever. And usually they're showering in gyms, their gym membership, or their little camping grounds. I just feel Japan it's got these amazing onsen. You could build your trip around these places. Parking, you can sleep in a car legally in basically as long as you're parked legally. It's you can pretty much park anywhere. And it's just such a friendly, beautiful place. And even the smallest towns have great food, have great spots, and there's just so much more to see in Japan.
So you said that you had the inspiration for this because your best experiences have been on road trips. So what were some of your best road trips? Well,
I remember we did a trip in the UK recently, and I've got 3 children.
How old are they? Japan.
I've got a 8-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And so it's traveling now is harder to. It's I need to invent a way to do this for my family. But we still rented a car in the UK, and we booked some Airbnb some good locations around, and UK is amazing for driving. This was last April, but I love to see lots of places, drive and get the map out, choose the next location, what looks interesting. Also, in Australia, when I first moved to Australia, we used to drive around a lot, and it's small towns, find local work short term.
Really? What kind of local work?
Well, fruit picking is big in Australia for the working holiday visa. Lots of I first met Japanese people while doing that and became interested in Japan from working with some of these guys. Just great guys. I have a good laugh at the campsites. And if you have a little caravan sites, we would sleep in the car or we'd drop out a campsite and check up a tent or something. And it's just fun. I remember trying to get work, and I remember one place we went to, there was no work at the farm. And we just booked a week of accommodation. So we're a little bit concerned, what are we going to do for a week in this town? And we went to the local secondhand clothing shop. and brought some like country boy clothes. And I found a tractor hat, had John Deere on it. And then, we just went up to the farm and said, g'day, mate. Wouldn't happen to need any tractor drivers, would you, mate? and the guy's like, you guys can't drive a tractor. I'm like, what? Can't drive a tractor, mate? What are you talking about?
I got the hat.
Yeah. Like, look at this hat, John Deere. So I jump, and he's like, all right, jump on. And it's like all the tractor drivers were lined up there. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna be good. And then we jumped on a tractor. We're like, what year is this? A 97? Or no idea what we're doing. But I think they saw through what we're doing pretty quick. But they're like, he's in. So
he's committed to this.
Yeah, he's like they had to get. I knew they needed more drivers, not less pickers. So they had to choose someone. So I thought, let's get him in.
So you got chosen from a lineup of potential tractor drivers?
Oh no, like
lineup.
I'm just looking at most of my career has been as a recruiter in Japan.
Okay.
So I'm just looking for gaps. For
Nice.
That skill was always there, early infant age. And
is it hard to drive a tractor?
They have about 16 gears.
Not
don't
that
they?
hard. Not that if they gave me some simple instructions and they didn't want to see the show, then no, it's not that hard. But it is a little bit complicated if you've got no idea what you're doing for the first time with an audience. So,
but you managed it anyway.
Yeah, managed it anyway. And just lots of funny stuff happened on the road, which is really fun.
What other funny stuff happened?
Oh well, I think just there's lots of so on doing the grapes mainly out in the road in Australia
For winemaking or
for table grapes and winemaking. But I think there's big money in table grapes because you cut them by hand. So they're paying by the box basically, and I made I think we made around maybe history's distorting truth here, but at least I know we made about $2,500 in 3 days. Work, which is crazy money because the grapes are huge. You can basically cut 2 grapes and it fills a box, and that's $5.
Wow.
So it's just a boom.
So you're paid based on how much you're collecting?
Yeah, but the guys at the campsite would not tell you where the good farms were. You just notice you're all eating pop noodles or cup noodles, and this guy's eating steaks, and you're like, where are you working? He's like, some farm. Okay, where is it? He's like, it's busy. It's full.
Oh, you gotta follow him.
He was boasting a little bit. So we basically were lying in our car, laid down flat on the bed, the seats, waiting outside his tent for this guy.
Really?
To get up. Yeah, exactly. It's we'd followed him with the lights off. You have to get up super early to do this.
Wow.
To the site, and we got there and we realized we're at this camping ground at this these fields. We're like, wait a minute, we've got no. But it's going to be, what do we do now? We're just here. So we thought, let's just start picking. So we just started picking the grapes, and then the guy showed up and was like, mate, where's your stickers? I'm like, that's what I was asking. He's, okay.
Did you get a sticker then?
Yeah, no, we gave us stickers.
Man.
That's where we made real good money.
That's awesome.
So we never told anybody where that place was. That's the way it works.
Just that other guy.
Exactly. That's the way it works.
Was anyone following you guys to the farm?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It sounds like
clever
that.
enough.
It sounds like that book, The Beach. Where they find this kind of paradise, and they're not allowed to tell anyone about it.
Yeah, the theme music wasn't as good though. But it was. Yes,
that's
it was
pretty
like
awesome.
That. But yeah, lots of silly stuff happened on the road, and I feel like in Japan that there's also things I want to explore. There is woofing.
Yeah. Working on an organic farm.
Do you know much about this, Chris?
My cousins had a farm in France and used to have people woofing on their farm.
Right.
I don't know too much about it though.
I've had a lot of friends do it.
So maybe Taryn knows.
Well, actually, one woofing story that stands out to me is, do you guys know the island Ogasawara?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. For the people who don't know, it's crazy far from Tokyo, though it's still within Tokyo. But you can only access it via a 26-hour ferry. Okay. There's no airport on the island, so it's
Oshima
impossible to get there.
Chichijima and Hahajima, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Chichijima. And the ferry is immensely uncomfortable and also really expensive. So the island is totally isolated, but it's great. It's beautiful. It's pretty untouched. And my sister and I went there and stayed at this bungalow up in the mountains. And it was this this series of cabins that was completely organic. You weren't allowed to use shampoo or conditioner. It was no flush toilets and that kind of thing. And the whole structure had been created from woofers that had been working with the guy who ran it. He was this fascinating ex-salaryman hippie guy who was in his 70s and just completely ripped and went kayaking every single day for hours. And he had put together this this sort of organic bungalow complex with woofers.
Wow.
So you're a fan of the road trip, and you think you need to bring that to Japan.
I think it needs to be brought to Japan.
Yeah.
I feel it's bigger than just a camping car company which has like 10 vans or 20 vans. I feel it could be like a hotel which is mobile.
Yeah.
And that's the way I'm seeing it. And we've got a team of guys who can build vans. We've put together, including myself, dusted off the old cabinet making, certificate. And yeah, we can put out vans. We put out vans on our team, and we're doing it now outside my house and outside one from other guys I'm working with's place, where we can build them there. But we're looking to do a facility and ramp that up. So
for the launch, how many vans do you have?
I've got one.
One.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got one van. We've got the concept van right now, and yeah, we're looking at the next one now.
So
Okay.
MVP.
Well, I wanted to test it first and see how people felt about the design, and then we'll modify it, and then from there, once we got some good feedback, start scaling out the builds.
Well, we'll have a look inside the van.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see it.
I like it.
So we've transitioned to the outdoors. Where do we start from?
So Jared, do you want to explain what it is we're looking at? It's
So,
a
yes.
very unusual van.
Yes, this is called the Ronin, if you want. That's the name of his first van. Prototype version 1.0.
Oh.
This is our first van, and it is for 2 people to travel comfortably. And yeah, do you want to have a look inside?
Yeah,
and
let's
see
go a
what
little
we're dealing
closer.
with?
Marvelous.
Yeah, so this is the inside. And the DreamDrive van, I'm really focusing on getting a really good bed, like a good night's sleep, and have a
It
interior.
looks super comfy.
Yeah, it's pretty cozy, and the interior, which is kind of a bit warm, like homely, like a good place to return to.
Yeah. For our listeners, do you want to describe what it is we're looking at?
Yes, we're looking at a double bed inside a van. We got some. We did a lot of custom work on the roof, walls, and curtains.
Yeah, we got this like cool paneling going on.
Yes, and
Yeah, it's got a very sort of like beach house vibe,
Yeah.
but inside a van, which is pretty. And there's like, is that a surfboard pillow?
that's a surfboard pillow.
That's so
yeah,
cute.
exactly. And
And a little lantern.
this one's designed so from the outside you could sleep. Like, let's say you didn't want to overplan your trip, you could stay in Tokyo in this one. Like,
Okay.
if you pay for parking, it's completely legal to stay there. Just don't get the barbecue out and don't make a big racket. Otherwise, you'd be like a public nuisance and moved on.
Yeah.
But if you just want to park somewhere cool in the back and sleep, pull the curtains, this is good. And then it could also be used out if you go camping sites. So it can give some flexibility. You got storage here. There's also more storage, a fair bit of storage underneath.
The back of the van.
Yeah, so you chuck your luggage in the back.
So it looks like the bed is kind of raised so that there's storage underneath it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, basically.
Nice.
And then and then round the side, we'll move over here. The bed can fold up. It folds up and can be put in the back area, so you can raise these 2 seats.
Oh,
and there's
nice.
a little table, and you've got your power cables and like little place to store things
Cool.
here. So we keep it pretty simple. And the best view, like what I like to do, and what I think the customers will like, is the shot from inside the van, looking out the back. Basically, park that. That's your window when you park at the place you really like, and that's kind of like the view you can wake up to in the morning. So,
What do you see as like the capacity of this van? How many people do you imagine using it?
well, 2 people.
Okay,
But you
that's what I
could
thought.
you could seat 5, and then you could chuck 2 in a tent.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's up to people how they want to travel. But generally, 2 people, I'd say, would be the ideal.
So do
so-
these come outfitted with tents, or are the
No,
customers
that's
bringing
like
those?
that's like. Oh no, but we have them. They could.
You can, like, rent the tents as well.
You can borrow that if you need
Cool.
it. So yeah, not standard.
What's some
like
other stuff that you can do as like add-ons that you could
Well,
rent?
we're thinking of lots of things like surfing equipment, snowboarding equipment,
Oh, yeah.
barbecue sets, coffee sets, vegan hampers. Lots of
Oh.
ideas, but we're not
Like
sure
that.
exactly which ones are going to be for ones customers want.
Yeah. So which ones are available right now for the
Right
early
now,
bookings?
basically when someone books it, we'll get the equipment.
Yeah, depending on what they want.
So right now we've got some additional tents for the side and barbecue.
Cool.
So that's it for now.
I like the coffee kit idea also.
Coffee kit, little flask roadie.
Yeah.
Good for popular for Australians. So
Yeah,
that's-
it's nice and homey.
Yeah.
Oh, and you've
So-
got these cute little curtains are also on the sides of the van. They match
Yeah.
the
So
ones at the
when
rear.
you pull the curtains tight, there's like no strong light coming in, so people could not tell you're in there. Is basically
Cool.
the concept. So for downtown living. So
Yeah.
And then
It's really cool.
I think the best place to park is like onsens is a good place to park. So you got somewhere in the morning to go and have like a quick like bathe and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's so perfect for Japan. You
Yeah.
don't need a like shower because you got onsens all over the place.
So this is much better than the shower.
Yeah.
For anybody who's tried it. So yeah.
Cool. All right, thanks for showing us. I love it.
Well, should we finish off with some quickfire questions?
I like it.
So,
Yeah, this is an experiment, so he's going to try this out.
Okay.
So,
Did you do it on the last podcast?
No, we did not.
Oh,
it's the
dear.
first time
No
we've done
idea.
it. So,
Oh, dear. Here we go.
You are the guinea pig. So let's
Hit me.
So basically, it's just a choice. So we say you just say one word. So you choose.
Yeah,
I
two
might,
choices.
the options.
I might have to go off the rails though. That's
You
all right.
you
Okay.
probably will, knowing you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so let's start. So sushi or ramen?
Ramen.
Okay, 7-Eleven or Family Mart?
Mini stop.
Oh,
Easy. Ex Potato is the best like convenience store hot food in history.
mini stop. Okay, Nihonshu or shochu?
Shochu.
Really?
Okay.
Ninja or samurai?
Ninja. I would say pirate, but I don't know if that kind of fits.
Okay, well, ninja then.
Ninja
Godzilla
pirates.
or Musashi?
What's Musashi?
That's what I was thinking.
This is
That's what I wanted to ask. See if you knew it. Musashi is, I think is he a real character? There's this kind of great historical fiction book about this Miyamoto Musashi, who's this kind of famous samurai warrior.
I have a look in my mind, a ponytailed man in my mind when you said that word,
He might have had a ponytail. I think the
Like high
samurai
top.
hair was kind of...
but like short bun, like man bun before it was cool or before it was existing.
Anyway, he was too
Godzilla.
cool for you to know.
Godzilla.
So Godzilla,
Yeah.
all right.
okay.
Okay.
SMAP or AKB48?
I can't choose.
Come on, you got
But
to.
Love them
I'll
both
say
equally.
I'll say spam, smap.
It says it all.
Okay.
Shibuya or Roppongi?
Probably that's hard. I
Really?
think Shibuya. At first, I didn't like Roppongi. I think that was a classic thing to do. But I
love
lived
Roppongi.
very close and there, so I became home for a while. And it's but I'd say Shibuya now. I love what we've done with Stream, with a new like walk between Ebisu and Shibuya. Sorry, this is not quick fire answer. Shibuya.
Okay. Pepper or Asimo?
Pepper the pig.
Pepper the robot.
Oh, Pepper.
Pepper. Okay.
Asimo's a Honda one, is it?
Yeah, it's the little spaceman.
I haven't met him. I actually prefer him. I like it when he falls over.
Right. Right.
I like if he
More-
has some
more comedy.
movement, like some legs. So Asimo.
Like the legs. Okay. Beach or the mountains?
Mountains.
Hokkaido or Okinawa?
Hokkaido. Easy.
Tokyo or Osaka?
Tokyo, come on.
There's one more question on the list. Do you want to do it, Greg?
Doraemon or Crayon Shin-chan?
Probably Crayon Shin-chan.
Oh, nice.
It's cheeky.
Yeah.
I,
like it.
I don't know who they
You know
are.
who they are?
I
You
know
haven't
who
got kids,
Dryman
mate.
is.
Yeah, I had to ask Greg at the beginning, but then I remembered it's this like really crudely drawn anime.
It's not just crudely drawn. He's also very
It's
crude.
also
He's a
crude.
crude
Everything
boy.
about
He's
it's
a naughty
crude.
boy. He's a very naughty boy.
But it used to be on Adult Swim, if you guys know what that is.
Yeah, but it's a kid's cartoon in Japan. So
Yeah. When you have kids, you know these things. That's for sure. But
Well, that was great, Jared. Thanks for joining us.
thank you. Thanks for
Any
your time.
Thanks for coming on.
final words before we press the stop button?
Yeah, just like I want everyone to close their eyes for a second. If you're I don't
I like
know.
where this is going.
Yeah, and if you're driving, close your eyes just a few seconds. And it's good to just like get out your phone and I don't know why I made you close your eyes, but just type in dreamdrive.life.
Do that with your eyes closed?
With eyes closed, and if it comes up, then it's fate. hit a booking and
DreamDrive.life for booking vans to take your road trip around Japan. Any other places you want to direct people to online for stalking you? Or
well, I'm not. I will be updating stuff more. Like Facebook's probably the best, actually. Just Jared Campion at Facebook. LinkedIn's great. I connect with anybody on LinkedIn, basically. But yeah, that's probably the best places for now. So yeah.
Cool.
Splendid. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
And thanks for listening. So if you like us, please subscribe and give us a rating on iTunes. And we'll be back every other Monday. Cheerio.